Hello and welcome. My name is Obesity Prime, and today I want to talk to you about Clair Obscur's Expedition 33. I'm going to provide you some of the tips that I've found now that I've kind of beaten this game. I just want to provide you with some straightforward tips to make your playthrough a little bit easier and kind of iron out some of the bumps you might come in contact with. So without further ado, let's get started. And we're going to start off here with the settings. But first, let me tell you that I started on PC, but when I logged in, the sensitivity for the look around was out of control. So you're probably going to want to jump in there and you're probably going to want to adjust a couple things. So the first thing you would want to do is go to the gameplay tab. There's two things in here we can do. First one would be to toggle sprint input, so you don't always have to hold it all the time. The next thing will be to adjust your vertical sensitivity. Now for me, I kind of turned it down, I think all the way to 1 or something like that. Then we also go to the graphics and we turn off that damn motion blur. Those are the main two things you want to go in and address first. Alright, so the next one on the list is more some controls here. So if you are coming across multiple enemies, to move left and right, at least for me on the keyboard, was you simply just push A and D and it will move you respectively in that direction. Now, let's say you're at a cutscene, and there are a lot of cutscenes in this game. How do you stop it or how do you skip it? Well, you press the F key. That'll pause it so you can go do whatever else you need to do, come back and unpause it, or you can skip it altogether. If you're fighting a boss, you lose, you come back and you have to watch the cutscene again. That's a way to bypass that. As you'll see as you play through, some of them have resistances, some of them don't, and some of them can benefit from particular elemental damage. For example, let's use like a monster that is like a fire monster, right? If you were to hit it with a fire attack, or a weapon that has a fire element to it, you would actually heal that particular monster rather than do like reduced damage. But they can still have a elemental resistance that lowers the damage they take from that particular element. Let's say their resistance is lightning, so you'll do less damage with lightning. And then of course, if you hit them with a water or ice spell, that's obviously their weakness. It's going to do more damage. Now there are a number of types such as like earth, fire, water, electricity, light, darkness, and I think the other one might be void. So just keep that in mind as you play through. That way you can maximize your damage against your foes. Speaking of elements, the next tip I want to tell you is fire. Burn is OP in the beginning of this game, maybe even all the way through the game, to be honest with you. Always having someone with a fire spell is beneficial so you can get the burns. And why this is beneficial is because some bosses might be able to attack twice in a row, or if you're really unlucky, 3 times in a row, right? So if they attack 3 times in a row, that's 3 times they're going to take burn damage while your characters are just sitting there. Now you can choose to retaliate with parry and throw in your own damage in there, which is pretty much what you want to do to maximize, do those counterattacks to maximize your damage on top of the burns. But if you're just constantly dodging and they get those 2 or 3 attacks before one of your characters gets to go, it's going to be a long battle, and that's where those burns come into play. Take advantage of those. I don't really think there's a cap. I've gotten mine all the way up to I think 120 on a single monster, and it did a dot for over 100k, so it's definitely possible to get up there. Don't worry about trying to cap it out. And there's a lot of modifiers with the pictos that if the monster is burning, you do more damage, you build break faster, you can crit more, things like that. So burn is a very powerful element to take advantage of in this game. The next one comes into probably the craziest part of this game, and that is your parrying, your dodging, your spacebar, and your gradient parry, I think is what it's called. And on top of that, I'm going to throw in break as well. We might as well talk about them all. So those 4 that I mentioned first are your ways that the game has you to kind of be safe in a way. So the one that is most forgiving will be the spacebar. This is where your characters jump. It's very forgiving. You shouldn't necessarily be getting hit by this very often, pretty rarely, and it's pretty easy to dodge. Next up would be the gradient parry that comes later on in the game. I think maybe late Act 2 or Act 3, somewhere in there. That one's, I'd probably say, secondly forgiving. You still want to kind of time them a little bit, but it's got a bigger window than definitely the parry. Followed up at the standard would be the dodge. The dodge is the only one out of all of them that doesn't do any kind of retaliatory damage. I get, when you first starting out, you're probably going to want to dodge everything, but as soon as you get parry, try to learn those monster patterns so you can parry, retaliate with counter strike, and do damage. And it'll be a better way to kind of move faster. Now, if you're unsure or things are getting a little risky and dicey, or the monster does a lot of attacks, then I would say definitely use your dodge. It's a little bit safer. But if they're doing 1 or 2 hit combos, parrying should be an option there for you to kind of deal damage back and move quickly through some of these battles. The parry, it's got a very small window, so you need to pretty much tap it right when you're about to get hit. Any earlier you get smacked, any later obviously you get smacked. So you got to be kind of on point with those, but I guarantee as you play through and you practice with your parries, you'll get a good feel of when you need to. You'll be slapping the hell out of everything. And lastly is break. Every monster has that bar underneath their health. It's like a yellow one. Once it gets all the way to the end, there'll be a little yellow star. That means your character is primed to break them. Every character has a skill that shows that it's a break skill. When you use it on an enemy, it stuns them, they miss a turn, they take more damage, and especially for the mimes that you'll come across, break allows you to actually do real damage to them. Otherwise, you're kind of stuck doing very reduced damage. Next up is about credits. So credits allow you to buy things from the merchant. Now you can be running around the map, and this is entirely on you. If you're going to look around every single map, grab every little orb that's glowing, you can definitely do that. Some of you may not want to, but that's a really good way to get credits. I think is what it's called, for the money, which gets used at the merchants to buy specific things. You can buy cosmetics, weapons, and upgraded pictos, along with other things such as like weapon upgrades and colorless luma. So when you come across the merchants, you definitely want to buy the color of lumina. That goes into your character's lumina upgrades, which allows you to use better pictos or more pictos benefits in your character, making them overall better and kind of enhancing your overall build. So you definitely want to buy those every time you see those, followed by probably upgraded pictos because their stats improve as they level up. Then if you want to, followed by weapons and cosmetics if you want them. Moving on to weapons and weapon scaling. As you'll play, you'll come across weapons. Weapons you can upgrade to obviously increase the power, deal more damage. They do have the option for an element to be imbued in there. And then they have two scalings. It could be, any of the 5 stats: might, vitality, agility, defense, and luck, right? The weapon will tell you right on there what it scales off of. And the more points you put into those particular ones, such as let's say defense and agility, you put points into that, it's going to boost your overall character by adding additional points to other particular type of attributes. For example, let's say it says it was vitality and agility. By putting points in those two, your might will actually, and your defense, maybe even your luck, will all go up slowly. They'll get like an additional bonus compared to if you were to just put points into might be the only thing might be the only thing that levels up, hurting you in the long run. So my recommendation for weapons is, as you're going through the game, until you get to probably the end game or right at the paintress, don't necessarily spend too much time trying to think about which weapon you're really going to like main and upgrade. You can always do that later. I would recommend doing one that has at least vitality as the highest grade, and the other one would probably want to be agility, luck, maybe even might. My approach during this, and I've beaten the game like this, is I kind of balanced out my characters to some degree. I mean, all of these stats can be upgraded by pictos, which we'll talk about later on. So that's my recommendation. Find one with that vitality, and once you get to the paintress or like near the end of the game, then you can focus on, okay, which one do I really want to focus in? What kind of style do I want for my character? Because you're going to get probably like 15 weapons or whatever. You're going to get a lot of weapons. And at that moment, you might just want to just grab the one that's the strongest and save all your upgrades down the road when you get to kind of like the end game bosses and whatnot. Lastly, let's go ahead and talk about the pictos. They're pretty straightforward. They obviously give you stats and they provide passive bonuses. Now, these passive bonuses will be unlocked for everyone to use once you've done 4 battles with that particular picto slotted to a character. So even though they might be bad, still slot them in just so you can do 4 battles, go do some like weak mid-level monsters, level them up, and then go back to the main ones that provide health, defense, and crit. Those are going to be the main 3 you're going to want to get from your pictos. The pictos will level up as you acquire higher level ones, so don't stress about the level there. That's just the overall strength. And as a bonus, did you know different characters unlock different things with different NPCs? NPCs with different characters, they'll get different dialogues, and they may unlock cool things, cool cosmetics, maybe even weapons for you to do. Also, something that I did not do during my playthrough, so I'm going back trying to grab all those now. So those are some of my tips for you guys. I don't want to kind of ruin everything for you. I still want you to have that experience of discovery. But if I miss anything or you have any questions about it, you can comment down below. I'll do my best to give you my response. Otherwise, good luck out there. Have fun. Nowadays I get what I want. Lately been spinning a bag. Addicted to getting that cash.